Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the Answers You podcast. Here we discuss every week a little topics on how to improve relationships. I am a big believer, and this is why I started the podcast, that the moment we shift things internally, our whole outer reality shifts. Because the moment we shift internally and we see the connection between different ways of responding, different ways of triggers arising, and the way things are moving us out of balance, there's always this interconnectedness. And if we shift internally, everything in our outer reality shifts with us. And with that, all the relationships in it, because we see things through a different lens. We start seeing interactions through a different lens. We see and interpret how people respond, how our partner responds, how our friends, our family responds differently, depending on our level of awareness, depending on our level of self-perception, and on our level on self-reflection. So the more we heal, the more we notice what is ours, what is not ours, and where we actually have to act, or where we can just let go. So today I want to talk about vulnerability. And especially in the last 2 years, vulnerability was something that did not just help me improve the way I communicate, but especially helped me improve and deepen relationships in my life. And vulnerability truly means that you allow yourself to communicate what's in your heart, but communicate it in the way where it just comes from your perspective, the way you feel, the way things feel for you. So the really important factor in creating more vulnerability within relationships is really about keeping the I perspective and also sharing what's in your heart. Not sharing by pointing fingers at someone, by making someone feel bad about something they did, but really always coming back to a place where you share how things make you feel. For example, if someone hurt you, share from your perspective, this is how that made me feel. And I got sad about it because, and then you name what it is. Or that triggered something within me from my childhood, or that triggered something within me from my last relationship. But what I started doing too, so I would share openly what came up for me if I would be in a situation where I feel like someone hurt me or hurt my feelings. So I would openly communicate that hurt my feelings. And that alone, it's very brave as you start implementing more vulnerability in every communication and in the way you interact with people, because most of us, we are not used to being vulnerable and open up how we feel. But this is how we evolve, and this is how we deepen relationships. And I noticed that for myself, the more I'm working on just making that something that is normal and that should be normal to everyone, to just communicate how they feel. Don't push it away. Don't pretend you're fine if you're not fine. That's like the other big thing that I really learned last year, because I was always feeling I needed to be really strong. And there were a lot of things happening in my life where I needed to be really strong. But it also made me to the person that I am today. Going through a divorce, moving to a different country, not really having any family besides my son close by. This is all things that are hard, and that made me always feel I gotta be really strong. But I learned last year through different experiences and also to health challenges that came up for me, for a reason. They came up for me to really move away from that belief that I always had to be strong and that I could not show any weaknesses or could not be the one that was not balanced. Even, of course, if you want to show up, especially when you have a kid, you want to show up as the best version of yourself. But also seeing in that challenge that it is okay to share, I'm not fine. So this is really something that I started implementing, and that comes into the topic of being vulnerable. If you do not feel well, share that you're not well. Even if it's someone who is not close to you, it is so important that we start opening up and make it a normal conversation to share how we feel, because this is our truth. And I learned from allowing myself to, even if it's people that I would meet somewhere that I maybe seen twice before. Last year, when I went through a lot, especially physical challenges, where I really felt like I had zero energy, and I was dealing with a lot of pain. I was definitely not okay, physically not okay, and because of that, not mentally feeling okay. So, I mean, a lot of people, they always say, how are you doing? And we would always say, I'm great, or how are you doing? And I would literally say, I'm not good, but I will be fine. And seeing alone what it shifts in people, even if they're not close to you, when you are saying, I'm actually not great, or I'm not fine. It shifts something internally in someone, not just close to you, but in someone you share your truth with, because it gives them the opportunity to be vulnerable too. It gives them the permission to say when they are not okay too. And that creates a whole new level for any type of relationship in your life. And coming back to being vulnerable, not that we want to focus on someone that we maybe meet in the store twice a week, but it really comes down to sharing from your heart, sharing what's in your heart. Because the moment you do, you allow people to see your heart, to see where you've been hurt, to see where you still carry pain. And that is just absolutely beautiful. It is beautiful because the moment you open up and share that and someone is able to receive it, you start also. So what it does, and it comes up right now, it is really a gift to yourself. So often we try to be vulnerable to connect deeper to the other person. But it truly is a gift to ourselves, because someone else is allowed to see us on a deeper level, and that is an honor. And we should acknowledge it as such. So next to sharing what's in your heart, it allows the other person, like I said, to do the same, to feel safe, to share from their heart too. And that creates a whole new level of intimacy in every relationship. And it allows for you too the opportunity when you shared, wow, that really hurt me right now that you said that. It opens up the opportunity for you to heal that through the safety you feel because you are held in the space that the other person is offering to you. But especially it opens up the opportunity for you to heal it by saying it out loud. Many times when we say things out loud that still hurt us, it already shifts something internally, because everything we say has an energy to it. And if a lot of pain is stuck in our system and we allow ourselves to acknowledge it, a lot of that is already able to move through our system just by simply acknowledging it and connecting back to the feeling we had back then when it happened. And that has a lot to do with resetting your nervous system by acknowledging that there's still pain, by allowing it to come up through a conversation. Because I mean, this is what relationships are for. They are our mirror where we still hold pain, to see where we can still grow and heal, and where we can still connect deeper. Because if there's something coming up in a relationship and we feel we were hurt, it allows the relationship to deepen on one hand because the other person sees us in our wholeness on a whole different level. But it also allows the relationship to deepen by feeling into more what is needed in the relationship to make it more safe, to create more space for people to evolve in the best version of themselves and to let the past go. So that's really why we want to be vulnerable with each other, to deepen relationships. And of course, on the other hand, and this is probably why so many people have a hard time to be vulnerable, because we all experience relationships where we got hurt by opening up, by sharing what's in our heart. But the beautiful thing about being vulnerable and sharing what's in your heart, you will see if someone is able to hold space for that. And it is beautiful to just open up and share it. And if it cannot be received, or people are not able to hold space for what you're sharing in your heart, they may just not be that person that is supposed to be part of your life. And as hurtful as that is, and I know it is, I mean, we all been there, and it's really hard. But the faster we allow ourselves to be vulnerable and to share our truth and see if the other person is able to hold space for that, is able to even see us fully, and is able to have enough awareness to hold space for what we are sharing and to comprehend what we are sharing, we are able to see if that person is supposed to be in our life, is supposed to be having a deeper connection with us. And the faster you're vulnerable, you will see that. And then you do not have to get that attached. So allow yourself to be vulnerable, especially if it comes to dating or new relationships. Allow yourself to be vulnerable. I know this is hard, and especially when we got hurt. We all got hurt. We all carry similar wounds. We all do. So I really learned, especially the last 2 years, we are always winning when we are vulnerable, because we're sharing what's in our heart. And for whoever this is not aligned and whoever does not understand us in our truth, they're not supposed to be part of our journey. And as hard as that first may feel, but at the end, it is your blessing. Because like they say in quotes, you do not want to spend the rest of your life explaining your heart. You want to have people in your life who listen to you and just know. And that is such a gift to have. Someone who sees you fully, but for that you have to be vulnerable. And what I want to add, because that is something that came up for me a couple of months ago, was someone, and they had a really hard time to open up. And what came up there was they felt their vulnerability was not received the right way from my end. So they took that immediately as something to close themselves off again. And that is something that I think is so important too. That the moment we're opening up, that of course it's a gift to the other person to allow someone else to see us on a deeper level. But we cannot take someone else's ability to hold space for us opening up out of a sudden or not as, well, now I'm closing off again because you were not able to hold space. You got to allow people to improve the way they respond to you too. Don't immediately take that as your sign to run away from someone. Like, oh my God, they couldn't hold space for that, so they cannot be my person. We all have to allow each other, when we are in a relationship of any kind, when we are shifting, when we are allowing a new version of ourselves to evolve, we need to allow the other people to see that we want to evolve, that we want to try to be more vulnerable and communicate from our heart more. So do not use the first opportunity when you finally at the stage where you want to open up to push other people away just because you feel like you were not received fully in your truth. Allow people to see you as someone who's trying to learn to open up. And of course, it's okay when you start learning opening up. It's important for you to communicate. If there is someone who did not receive that or was not able to hold space for you the way you wanted them to hold space for you, you can literally say that. I was very vulnerable with you and I felt you were not holding space for that. So that hurt me because I really wanted to connect with you on a deeper level, and I felt like I was not held in that moment emotionally by you. And that is very valid, but please do not use opening up as your opportunity to push everyone away who's not immediately responding to you opening up the way you want them to respond. Because everything is a process. And at the very end, if we push people immediately away, if we are opening up, then we don't actually really want to open up. And I explain why, because the moment we're opening up and there is someone who's not able to hold space or is not responding exactly the way we wanted them to respond, we don't even wait for them to see us as this new version who wants to be more vulnerable. We are just immediately being like, okay, we're pushing that person away and I cannot be vulnerable now because I just learned and I saw from that response, it's actually not safe to be open and be vulnerable. Being vulnerable, again, is a gift you give to yourself, and with that to other people too, by sharing what's in your heart. Sharing what's in your heart for other people to see you on a whole new level, and for yourself to see you on a whole new level. Because the more you share what you carry within, what you carry within your heart, the more you see yourself clearly, because what's in your heart is your truth. I hope this was helpful for you guys. Please let me know in the comment. if that was serving you. I always would love to hear from you what you would like for me to talk about in the next episode. This is really a topic that goes close to my heart, and I feel like the more we open up to what we carry within our hearts, we truly transform each and every relationship in our life, because the relationships in our life that are really here to stay